Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to our installment of Scott Selections here for Tuesday, February 9th. We're getting today's play of the day, a quick recap of what happened yesterday. We ended up picking up a loser in the NBA as we gave out the Bulls -2.5, which was available on Bet Online at -110. We got a very good number there as it ended up closing at Bulls -4.5. However, that did not matter as Chicago ended up losing the game outright. Played pretty well in the first quarter. Then the second quarter, Washington came out, punched them in the mouth. Chicago entered the half down double digits and ended up losing by only four, I believe. But either way, Chicago at no point was really covering after the first quarter, and Washington definitely responded well in the second half of back-to-back. Chicago came out with a lot of, I'd say, issues offensively against one of the worst defensive teams in the league, and unfortunately they were not able to cover the spread. But we'll look to bounce back here on Tuesday. And the play of the day that we're going to be going with is going to be in college. It's going to be on a matchup in the ACC between NC State and Syracuse. And we're going to be taking NC State at home, -1.5, which is available on DraftKings at -107. A time recording of 12:01 p.m. Eastern Time. A couple reasons why I like NC State in this spot. First of all, I've already seen some line movement on this game. NC State was -1 on the overnight. Now it's available even at -2 at some spots, but most books have -1.5. And we'll be taking the -1.5 here at -107, which is definitely the best deal in terms of juice on the market. But looking at the matchup here, these two teams actually played each other about a week ago or so, a little bit over a week ago, and Syracuse won at home. The game was very close. Syracuse won by 3, and NC State was actually doing really well in that game as NC State was winning by 9 at the half before falling apart in the second half. And I think that's very important because it is worth mentioning that Syracuse, kind of similarly to what we talked about over the weekend when we gave out Clemson against the Syracuse team, is the fact that Syracuse is absolutely abysmal on the road this season and is also pretty good at home. Looking at the numbers so far, Syracuse over the course of the season is 10-6 overall. However, on the road, they are 1-5 straight up and 1-5 against the spread. This team has been terrible away from the Carrier Dome. I think that will continue in this matchup. NC State, on the other hand, even though it is only 8-7, not a great team by any means. 4-6 in conference play. Syracuse is 4-5 in conference play. But NC State has been pretty good at home this season as it is 6-2. And I do think that NC State, after letting the first meeting slip through their fingertips, as they probably should have beaten Syracuse, to be completely honest with you, they covered the 6.5-point underdogs. Anytime you're up 9 in a conference game at the half and you end up losing that game outright, definitely not a fun time for NC State. But I do think that the Wolfpack will be able to get back on track and beat the Syracuse team, which has looked night and day in comparison to home and road splits. But also another factor to keep in mind is the fact that NC State was on a bit of a losing streak over the week before the weekend. However, NC State was able to beat Boston College by 16 on the road just by laying just 6.5. Now, that is a little bit misleading. To be completely honest, because Boston College was missing a bunch of scholarship players, and NC State ended up opening up a huge lead against a couple walk-ons and some scholarship players from Boston College. But either way, point is NC State was able to get back on track a little bit, and I do think that after playing some pretty close games against the likes of Virginia and Syracuse, I think they'll be able to beat Syracuse at home this time around, and I do think that Syracuse will continue to struggle. Syracuse has lost 2 of its last 3, has failed to cover in each of its last 3 games and in 7 of its last 9 games. Syracuse has been terrible against the number, and I think that NC State should be able to pack the middle, should be able to exploit Syracuse's defense, which has been surprisingly underwhelming so far this season. And I do think NC State will be able to get the job done. This game will be close probably for a little while, but I do think NC State will eventually do enough in order to win this game. And I do think that NC State will win this game by at least, I'd say, 4 or 5 points. So for that reason, the play of the day here on Tuesday, February 9th is going to be on NC State, -1.5, which is available on DraftKings at -107. That's been some Scott Selections. Good luck to all of you in your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.